So just a few additional things to look at here on style sheets. I'm going to show you an ID, so I added ID. Now, one thing you might notice here, I've got pound nav here a bunch of times, but if you scroll down a little bit, so a few things I added here. First, I started using divs. So you see now I have a div, so a division for the header. Then I have one for navigation, and then I've got one for main. So I have a header, a main, and a nav portion of my page. So I started subdividing my page, which is good practice. You might want to try doing that on your pages. So in this pound nav, so in the div portion of my page, for the UL, so the UL that's contained in the nav ID. So that's what this means. When you have a space here in the selector, it's saying any UL that is inside the nav div or nav anything. It doesn't have to be a div. It could be another. It could be a P or something like that. I'm setting the margin and the padding to 0 pixels. So I'm making sure there's no margin, no padding. And then for an LI, so a list item that's inside an unordered list, that's in the nav div, I'm going to change the display to inline. So by default, UL is a block level and LI is a block level element. I'm going to change it to inline and do list style none, which means that it's not going to show. So that's going to do two things. First, the default behavior for the list item is to list it vertically. Now they're going to list horizontally, and list style none means don't put a little dot in front of it, don't put a 1 in front of it, don't put a little circle in front of it, so all that stuff's going to go away. So now it's just going to be a list of items horizontally. So I'm sort of making a horizontal navigation bar here. We'll talk more about nav bars later, but this is a nice little example of a very simple nav bar using CSS. And then here, so any A tag that's inside an LI tag in the nav div is going to have this color. It's not going to have an underline or anything, but it is going to be bold. But when you hover over it, it's going to underline. So let's take a look at that in the browser. So my nav bar at the top. Unfortunately, I think you probably can't see it. So let me shrink this down a little bit. So here's my nav bar across the top. You can see I can click on it, and it shoots me down to where I want to go in the document, and it underlines when I hover over it. The next example, okay, so notice now all that style stuff is gone. It disappeared. Where did it go? Well, this is my link to the style sheet. So this is how you link to an external style sheet. So use the link tag, the relationship to style sheet, type is text CSS, and then href is where to actually go to find that style sheet. So now I've taken that whole style sheet and I put it in here. It's a little different now. It looks a little different because Notepad++ is now showing me the color coding for CSS. It doesn't do that in an HTML, but when you create a separate document, Notepad++ knows how to do how to colorize the code for you. With the syntax highlighting. I pretty much left it the same. The only things I've changed here is in the nav I added some color when you hover over something. So let me go to that one. So this is version 7. This is using the external style sheet, and you can see it's got the new nav bar styling. So that is number 7. So in my 8th example, I just wanted to show you the concept of precedence with CSS. So here I have my external style sheet, which should just show the paragraph with 150% line height and maybe a different color. But then here I changed it to italic. So this is going to take precedence over the link style sheet. So the external one will go first, then it will see this and it will make it italics, and then I actually put some inline. I put a span in here, inline, that's going to change this, just this little bit of text in this paragraph to be italicized. So let's take a look at that. So now you can see all my paragraphs are italicized, and that little bit of text right there that's the inline style gets underlined because it took precedence.